Hello and welcome to another tutorial on Ziva VFX. In this video we are also going to be looking at attachments, specifically at sliding attachments. So following on from the last video, we have our bicep tissue object attached to the humerus and the radialis Ziva bones via fixed attachments. So what I'm going to do is add in the brachialis to this system as well. So I'll just hide the bicep for now. Quickly turn this into a tissue, and then I'm also going to add fixed attachments at the origin and insertion ends of the brachialis. So with a couple of vertices selected, shift select the target object, in this case the humerus, Ziva, add simulation component attachment, and then again at the other end just hit G there to redo the last action. And then I'll play them both back now in this state. Cool. So while they are doing cool stuff, there's some nice secondary and things like that going on. It would be cool to keep the bicep and the brachialis and the humerus all interacting without making them sort of move as one mass, if you like, so they still preserve their individual motion a little bit. And one thing that can help with that is the sliding attachment type. So what I'll do is use a feature that we have called select vertices by proximity to help with this. So what I'll do is hide the bicep again, and I'll select the humerus first in this case, and then I'll shift select the brachialis. And then under the Ziva Tools menu, you're going to see proximity tools at the very bottom, and then down here we have select vertices, and I'll open the option box for it. And I'll leave the radius at default here for now and just hit select. Go into wireframe, you can see that it's picked the vertices for us, which is a nice convenience feature. So I'm happy with that vertex selection on the humerus, and then I'm just going to shift select the brachialis here. And then under the Ziva menu, I'm going to come down to add simulation component. I'm going to choose attachment again, and it's going to default to a fixed attachment, you can see here, because the color is red. And if I go into the channel box, I can see the last one I made was attachment 5, and I can change its mode from fixed to sliding, and you can see that the color here has changed to kind of a purplish color, so you know that this attribute here is sliding. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the stiffness exponent on this attachment to be something a bit lower. It's one thing I didn't mention in the last video, but you might have the question, well, we want the origin and insertion of the muscle to stay rigidly against the humerus at all times, so why not make the exponent 1,000 times 10 to the 12? And the answer is because we're working with a physical numeric system, we have to sort of be conscious of the values we're putting into it. The reality is, if you start putting in very, very large values into your system, you're going to potentially run into some instability issues. So you're looking for values that really get the job done without compromising the stability of the system, basically. So I'm going to change this to 1 times 10 to the 6, because sliding attachments are a bit more susceptible to noise with high stiffness values. So what I'll do now is bring back the bicep and make another sliding attachment. I'll use select by proximity again. Looks good. Shift select the bicep, create attachment, convert it to sliding, and I make this 1 times 10 to the 6 as well. So now when I play this back, you should see that the objects try and preserve the distance apart that they are at rest, but they should be allowed to slide against each other at the same time. So you can see that happening now. And if I go back to those first few frames, it's kind of the most obvious. I'll hide this alembic cache. can see the objects sliding against each other there. So one more thing I want to talk about when conceptualizing sliding attachments is you have to be a little bit careful about the selection order, or you have to be conscious of what is the source and what is the target with sliding attachments, more so than in the case of fixed attachments. So I'll bring up Paint, and we can think about a different example to illustrate this. It's the concept of the cup and table. I'll draw it nice and big so we can think about it. If you have the table as the source of a sliding attachment, what you'd do is you'd select some vertices on the table, and then you'd shift select the cup, and the cup would be the target object. And what you really want is the cup to slide down the table with gravity, and that's not going to happen with this setup, because with a sliding attachment, the vertices, or the attachment, is locked to the vertices on the source object, and all the sliding happens against the target object. So all that can happen in this example is that the cup can sort of tumble around, and it could only ever rotate like this. So what you really want is for the cup to slide along the table, so in which case, undo all this, you would select the vertices on the bottom of the cup first, and then shift select the table as the target object. And in that way the attachment's locked to the bottom of the cup, and it's free to slide in any direction along the table. So for a more practical anatomical example, so you have your patella bone, and then down here somewhere you have the tibia, and you have some skin running over these objects. In this case, you want to select vertices on the patella and have the skin as the target object. And then likewise, if you wanted to have another sliding attachment here, that will allow the skin to traverse over the two objects. You should be able to make a nice smooth transition between the two sliding attachments. But if you make it the other way around, what's going to happen is that the skin can't, these vertices of the skin can never get off the patella, so you'll end up with, it'll start to go round like this, and you'll end up with weird pinching in here. The skin will all gather like that, and it won't look right. Okay, so thank you very much for watching, and in the next video we're going to be talking about muscle fibers and how to do that in Ziva.